Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing another camera comparison today between the newly released iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone XS. Now, the reason I'm doing this specific camera comparison is because a lot of you watched that original one, and that makes me think that a lot of people want to see this type of comparison. So, if there's another iPhone you want me to compare to the SE2 when it comes down to the camera, leave a link down below and I'll go ahead, or just leave a comment and I'll go ahead and try my best to do that comparison. Now, the iPhone SE2 photos will be on the right, the iPhone XS photos will be on the left, and a little bit of precautionary things. I'll tell you the specs and everything. The iPhone SE2 has a single 12 megapixel sensor, with the iPhone XS has a dual 12 megapixel sensor setup, a wide angle lens, and a telephoto lens. And that in and of itself is pretty much a cool capability that the iPhone XS can do. You have that ability of doing telephoto lens capability, zooming in a lot. Still no ultra wide on both, but it's still perfectly fine. Now, the way I took these photos is that basically I would go to a subject, take the photo, I let it completely autofocus, and I took the photos one after the other. So literally 1 second in between, I just took the photo, put the phone down, took the other phone, took the same photo in the same location. So it's not like these are different days or anything like that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at this first photo. And if you saw that camera comparison I did yesterday, they're pretty much almost the exact same locations. I took all my phones and took photos right after the other. So I took like 10 phones with me and took all these photos right next to each other. Now this first one, as you can see, this is the SE2 photo and this is the iPhone XS photo. And we're already kind of seeing the same things that I talked about yesterday. The iPhone SE2 has a thing where it just kind of brightens the photo a little bit. Now I'm not too sure if you guys are able to see it that well, but if you can see it over here, if you look at like these specific whites and everything, if you look at the iPhone XS, the whites here look a little bit darker and like maybe like a shade, like kind of like eggshell white, where this is kind of like a little bit brighter than that. I don't know if a lot of people are going to notice it straight from just looking at the photo like this, but I definitely do think from this first photo, again, just like yesterday, the SE2 kind of brightened up the photo. The iPhone XS did it a little bit darker, but it's still, some people might prefer this photo, some people might prefer this photo, so it is what it is. But this is the first photo, so keep that in mind. The iPhone SE2 has a tendency of kind of brightening up those photos. Now this next photo kind of flip-flops, so now the XS looks like it kind of brightened up the photo. So this was an indoor photo, pretty bad lighting, like this was not good lighting at all, but I just wanted to see which one would do better. And as you can see, if we look kind of like in the background, the iPhone XS, I think, did a better job at kind of brightening up the entire photo, but at the same time, it might look like there's more noise on the iPhone XS photo. So let's go ahead and zoom in and see if there's anything we can see. And yeah, if you can tell, like the edge of this on the XS, it looks pretty pixelated, it looks pretty grainy and much more noisier, versus the iPhone SE2. It did a much better job at kind of removing a lot of that noise. Now, I'm not too sure if the SE2 has deep fusion. It might, I'm really not too sure. So maybe that has something to do with it, with that A13 chip. Even if you look here, you can see a lot more noise is going on. So they're both pretty noisy, but you're going to get that when you have a pretty bad lighting photo like these two. So definitely I might end up siding with the SE2, even though from first glance, this one looks a little bit better. Now this is another indoor photo, and I just wanted to see how these two phones kind of interpret this specific light up. Now with the iPhone XS, it honestly kind of looks a little bit better. If you kind of look at the specific leaf and everything, it looks like this is a little bit more in focus and looks a little bit more color accurate. Maybe, I don't even know what the right word of it is. If we just kind of look around, they both look almost the same, to be honest. If you look at this, the iPhone XS did a better job at kind of blurring out this specific background, where the iPhone XS kind of kept that in the focus. So even though this is in focus here, it looks like this is a little bit more in focus, the specific leaf. It looks like the background is a little bit more blurred on the iPhone XS, so definitely a plus in my book for a XS. Now this is an outdoor photo, and what's actually interesting about this is how both phones interpret this specific white color. So I don't know what the heck that is, I'm just gonna move out of the way. But you can see the iPhone XS actually kind of interpreted a little bit warmer. I think I kind of like this one, even though this is probably more accurate. Actually, this might be even more warmer than what it is in real life. So I might end up siding with the iPhone SE2. You can see the iPhone SE2 did a better job at handling the white aspect of it. So definitely for sure, it's not even that good of a photo, but I would still probably side with the iPhone SE2. Now this next photo is of the deck, and I really can't notice any differences from like a bird's eye view standpoint. If I go ahead and zoom into this specific part, let's see if there's any differences. And they look almost the same. I don't really see too many crazy differences between them. But, maybe the iPhone XS looks a little bit better to me, but I'm not really too sure. Like I said, at the end of the day, they look almost the same, so there's not really too many differences here. Now this is another photo outdoors, and one thing I immediately see is it looks like, I don't know, maybe the iPhone XS is applying too much filtering or something. Not even too much, but it looks better on the iPhone SE2 maybe the iPhone XS. This one is tricky. So if I go and zoom in here, you guys can see, I mean, it definitely looks like two different shades of colors. This one looks a little bit warmer, more yellow. This one looks definitely a little bit more whiter. If I go ahead and zoom up, maybe, there's not really too much more to show, but maybe the iPhone XS looks a little bit better. I think if I go ahead and zoom into this specific, maybe I can see this little spider web and see if I can get it on here. So if I go ahead and zoom in, again, I don't really see too many crazy differences between them, just the coloring difference. So, I mean, other than that, I would probably end up siding with the, actually, if you look over here, it looks a little bit more grainier on the noisier on the iPhone XS than on the SE2. Maybe I'm just seeing it, it's not really that big of a deal because nobody's going to zoom in that much, but they're both pretty good photos from the start. And this is another photo of the cinder block thing, and if I go ahead and zoom in, I don't really think you're going to notice too many differences, but like I stated yesterday, the iPhone SE2 has a strange tendency of brightening up the photos, which is actually pretty good. I think more people like more brighter photos than, darker or sharper photos, so I think the iPhone XS is a little bit warmer and more yellow, but they both look almost the same. I still kind of think the SE2 photo looks a little bit better. And it's funny, yesterday I think I said the iPhone 8 photo looked better, so maybe the iPhone XS has a worse camera than the 8, maybe, who knows, I don't know. And I'm totally joking, that's probably not the case, but looking at this next photo, you can see, I tried my best, I actually got my shadow on here, but if I go ahead and zoom in here, I don't really see too many differences here. There are some pretty crazy differences between the iPhone 8 and the iPhone SE2, and I don't really think you're going to see too many differences here. They look like almost the exact same photo, so I'll probably say that the iPhone SE2 maybe is the winner, but they both look almost the same, so it's like a tie. And this is another photo of this grass, and even just from this first glance of me looking at it, the iPhone SE2 does look a little bit better. It just looks more brighter, and this one looks a little bit warmer, and I can see how some people might prefer this one. If I go ahead and zoom in, you can see there's a lot going on in this photo, and I'm not really too sure. I mean, like, this one definitely looks a little bit more cooler in the photo, like the coloring. This one looks a little bit warmer, and now that I zoom in, I think I kind of like the iPhone XS's photo, but like I said, there seems to be a little bit over warming, over yellowing going on, so I'm not too sure. I'm not like a camera expert, but that is something to consider. Now this is another photo of this grass thing, and again, not too much to show, it's pretty much the same thing. But again, the soil aspect of it, I think, does look a little bit better on the iPhone SE2 or on the iPhone XS, sorry. If I go ahead and look here, the grass and the leaves look pretty much the same on both, so not a big difference there. The leaves here look pretty much the same too. This one looks a little bit warmer, but that could be because my shadow was right there, so I'm not really too sure who's the winner here. These are outdoor photos again, and this is another photo of the little shed thing, and again, I don't really see a winner here. They both look almost exactly the same, and it's funny, I don't know if it was this video, but there was a bee that was here, and I got a video of it, and the camera comparison was so crazy. I don't remember what phone, maybe the iPhone 7, but now this is a photo that I showed yesterday, and it really was pretty interesting between the iPhone 8 and the iPhone SE2, but now the same thing is kind of going on. So I think personally that the iPhone XS and the iPhone 8 series, for some reason, do a better job at blurring the backgrounds than the iPhone SE2. So when I zoom in, you can see that this specific leaf is in focus, and look how blurred out the background is versus something like the SE2. And I saw this yesterday. If you look at this, this is kind of in focus, not really. It looks kind of like it's more in focus here. Let's just say it's on focus on this leaf. The background isn't even that blurred compared to something like the iPhone XS. I mean, you can still see a lot of this sidewalk, where you can still see it here, but this definitely looks way more blurred out. So I'm not really too sure, but I definitely probably do end up siding with the iPhone XS for sure. Now this is just another close-up of those leaves, and they look almost the same. This one maybe looks a little bit more yellow. This one looks a little bit cooler, so again, a lot of warming going on here, and a lot of cooling going on the iPhone SE2. Now this is the portrait mode setup on both phones, so there's no portrait mode for animals on the iPhone SE2, but there is portrait mode for animals on the iPhone XS. So as you can see, I mean, the iPhone XS did a better job in my opinion just because it is supported, so that's the one big downside for the iPhone SE2, and I had to stand out really, really far, and I definitely do think between both, the iPhone SE2 just isn't as great. I think if you look at the background again, if I go and zoom into like the left ear, for example, you can see, okay, yeah, the background is quite blurred on the iPhone XS, and on the iPhone SE2 is just, it's still in focus. So this is just like a standard photo versus the actual portrait mode. So you can kind of see what the differences are if I zoom into this much. So I'm sure you all know how portrait mode works, but yeah, as you can see, the background is a little bit more blurred out on the iPhone XS than the iPhone SE2, which is a really good thing. So that really pretty much covers it up in the photo aspect. Now I did make a video of these two, so I'll show you guys that right now. And honestly, I really didn't see too many differences. They look almost the same photo, or the same video for that matter. I didn't see like any too much warming going on, so they looked almost the same. I wish I could see some bigger differences so I could talk about them. Maybe the iPhone XS looks a little bit less shakier, in my opinion, if I'm, transitioning over or something like that. But the sticks, the grass, the leaves, and everything, they look almost the same between both. So, what I would tell you is between the camera setup, I think the iPhone SE2 has a really good camera setup. I don't think there's anything on that phone that tells me, like, oh, it's a bad camera or anything like that. But the iPhone XS, I feel like more people might end up siding with that camera. You have a lot of cool capability with the iPhone XS. You have that telephoto lens, you have that portrait mode for animals, you have, a lot of cool little things. 4K at 60, which is really nice, but you have that on both. But I think the iPhone SE2 is still a tremendous camera, and I don't think it's like a bad camera at all. And between both, there was a lot less noise in the iPhone SE2 photos than on the iPhone XS photos. So that's a really good thing. So if you're taking photos in the dark, or if you're taking photos in like kind of bad lighting, I think you might have a better, looking photos on the iPhone SE2 than on the iPhone XS. But it is what it is. Both of them are great cameras. I think the iPhone XS has more camera capabilities, but other than that, videos look almost the same. The photos look pretty much the same too for the most part, except for the warming that's going on for the XS photos. So you kind of have to ask yourself, do you like more warm photos or do you like cooler photos? So it is what it is, but that's really pretty much it. If you guys want to pick up the iPhone XS or iPhone SE2, links will be down in the description below, but that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.